Good morning, everybody. It's a little chilly here this morning, and this guy would be feeling right at home because he's a Trichocereus tushekii or passicana, I'm not sure, but I think because he has straight spikes, no curved ones, that it's a tushekii. But don't hold me to that. As you can see, it's got a few pups growing on it. This plant was, we call it Tushekii Ed K, because it came from the Ed Cromer collection from South Australia, which was the basis of most of our plants in the garden. And a lot of the plants were either seed collected from the wild or plants collected from the wild. And that was the last, like Ed started collecting in the 1950s, and he had plants that he brought in from overseas in the collection, so they're habitat material. So this plant is a highland plant. Now, if you look up to the top, John, you can see that it's got hair on it. And the hair is the protection from the extremes when you're higher up on the side of the mountains, the Andes Mountains. And that's what they grow that hair for, is protection from the extreme cold. And the other thing about it is you can see how spiky it is down here. And when they're small, they need a lot of spikes, or the alpacas and the goats and sheep and whatever else roams around. But I know alpacas and vicunas and llamas roam by the millions in the old, in the old times, or going back, say, 100 years previous to now. Before then, there was millions of them roaming, and any plant that wasn't protected when it was small would be eaten. The top would be eaten out of it or whatever. And so when the plant gets, you can see that it starts to get hairy. So John, you can see this pup around here. These pups on this side are already starting to turn to having hair on them and finer spines. And the transition is quite marked, so nothing can get up here and get up there and eat the top of it out. So that's why the plant, as you go up, it doesn't need protection anymore. So somehow it knows it doesn't need to do that, and it just grows like that. And as opposed to a lowland Passicana or Tushekii, which, we just have a quick look down here at our big one. You can see that it's the same. It still has very strong spikes around the bottom. And as it goes up, the spikes get a bit shorter, but there's no hair. So we would know that this one came from the lowlands. And that's the reason. They're identical plants. There is no difference genetically. It's just that they've evolved for maybe millions of years, and they've just learnt that in a particular zone, the ones that have that particular characteristic are the ones that have survived.